And welcome on back, everyone, to episode 82 of Streaming with the Mouse. My name is Clifton Paul Robinson, and joining me today, as always, is Cam Ramos. He's back and ready to talk Star Wars. So get ready for the 7th episode of Star Wars: The Bad Batch Battle Scars. You're listening to Streaming with the Mouse. And welcome on back, everyone, to episode 82 of Streaming with the Mouse. My name is Clifton Paul Robinson, and joining me today, as always, is I'm going to switch it up because Cam has done something that, for the first time on this podcast, has surprised me. And he went and saw Cruella.
I did.
He saw a movie I never in 1,000 years would have expected him to go see. I thought he would never pay to see this movie, and he.
No. I
thought you would watch it when it was free on Disney Plus. I did not expect you to go see it.
No, so the only reason I had against seeing it was because my original plan was the very first movie I was going back into a movie theater to see was going to be Black Widow. It had nothing to do with it being Cruella. But we were in Falmouth and my in-laws wanted to go and I was all for it to see it. And I was like, that's a theaters. Let's go see that. It was either that or In the Heights, which In the Heights is already free on HBO Max. So I was all set on
Is it?
that. Yeah, I can watch that right now on HBO.
I might watch that tonight. Do that.
But I was like, whatever. I wanted to see Cruella. It was fantastic. Highly recommend. I don't know if I'd pay $30 for it on Disney Plus. But also, that being said, my wife and I spent between like popcorn and all that stuff. We spent like close to $50-$60. So maybe it would have been just worth it to watch it on Disney Plus for the flat fee of $30. It was phenomenal. The music's great. Maybe I'll do another like quick 15-minute recap like I did for Ryan the last chapter, but it was what was great about it. It wasn't original music for the movie. It was all like good 70s throwbacks. It was really, really well done. Very, very good movie. Everybody should go see it.
I have nothing against it. I love Emma Stone. If people know me, 101 Dalmatians is one of my like big things. Like that. Like I'm pretty sure I still have a bucket at my parents' house of like when I was like a preschooler, like a bucket of like the little toy Dalmatians. Yeah. I was obsessed with this movie. I am sorry to whoever. It sounds like I have heard rave reviews about it. I just want to know who in Hollywood just was sitting at that table and go, we need a motive. Come on. What's Cruella's motive? Dalmatians killed her mom. Yes.
But no,
perfect.
It wasn't like that. Like she doesn't hate the Dalmatians at the end. It's a very good movie. Like I tell you, everybody should go see this
She
movie.
doesn't hate the Dalmatians at the end, but then
no.
Then in 101 Dalmatians, the animated film, she's ready to choppy chop.
Hey, listen, it's a Cruella variant, okay? She doesn't have to hate them. It's a Cruella variant. Everything's fine.
Perfectly said. I just had to get that out of my system. I will still watch it when it comes out. I mean, I'm still not going to go to movie theaters just yet. Maybe come July I will. But Cruella's not on the top of my list.
That's fair. It was very good though, but it wasn't anything against Cruella of me seeing it. It was just in my mindset. I was like, the very
Black
first
Widow.
movie I'm walking into is going to be Black Widow. It was not. That's okay. Cliff. It was so good to be back at a movie theater. It was so good to be back.
I don't know if we've ever done this. We probably have. It's been 82 plus episodes. What is your go-to? Obviously, you have to get popcorn. What's your go-to movie theater snack?
Snack, not drink. Correct.
Snack, not drink. Yes. If you want to do drink, go ahead.
You go popcorn with extra butter. You put the straw in. Obviously, you go snow caps to put into the popcorn, and you go a cherry Slurpee.
Huh. Okay, I'm a little bit more of a traditionalist. Obviously, popcorn. Courtney and I will share a popcorn, and she likes to get M&M.
Sharing popcorns for the week. You need your own bag. Yeah.
Wow, for the week. She will get M&Ms and sprinkle them in the popcorn. I am a big Bunch of Crunch fan. So Bunch of Crunch, if I'm really feeling horrible, I'll add Swedish Fish into the mix. And then
in the popcorn?
Oh no. Oh God, no.
Jesus, Cliff.
That would be something. I would say I would ask myself if I'm okay. And then here's the thing where you're probably gonna judge me. My go-to drink is a water.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because it's a palate cleanser.
I get the move. I do, but like you got to go out of the movie theater with like your teeth feeling like moss. You have to know that you paid
That's what the Swedish Fish are for. That's what the Swedish Fish are for.
I also can't like get myself to pay for like $4 or $5 for a bottle of water. I just can't do it.
I will say the one near Bridgewater, Cinema Six, was very affordable for the concession wise. So you would get a giant water for maybe $3, which was a lot more affordable.
Also, let's be real. We're sneaking things in, right? Like it is what it is.
I
Like
don't
I'm
even think they care anymore.
no. If you're not like I didn't sneak anything in this past week because it was like a like game time decision. Like hey, we're gonna go see Cruella. But like July 8th, like I'm gonna be wearing a sweatshirt in the middle of July, and everybody should just know there's going to be candy in my
No,
pocket.
what are you
Okay,
talking about? The those IMAX theaters, they're chilly. They got a good air conditioner.
that's true. That's true.
So we're going to be talking about Battle Scars today. The Bad Batch, episode 7. We'll get to that in just a second. What was your first reaction to the first episode in the second half of this season?
Just like Rex, I'm all back in on this. I feel I liked everything coming up to this. I liked all the episodes. I did like the show. I felt like the last two they were good, but they weren't great. They weren't that episode 1 feeling I had, which I know that's gonna be like tough to do because that episode 1 was just so good. But I'm like all back in on the show. The stakes were higher than they've ever been before. They were higher than like the random Rancor they had to save, and even the Fennec episode. Like I liked that episode, but like I don't know, the stakes were definitely raised in this, and it was just a very fun episode. It felt very Star Wars. It felt very Clone Wars, which is something I know we compare a lot to the shows. How does this compare to Clone Wars? Because like you said a bunch of times, this is Clone Wars season 8, more or less. So, no, good episode. Really, not even good episode, great episode, and really like got me back into excitement of Bad Batch. I think a little bit of my low was also the fact that like we had Loki coming out at the same time. So I love Star Wars, but I also love Marvel too, and the Loki series got me really hyped up. But I'm all back in on this. How about you?
Yeah, I will say it was very good. I'm happy we got to see it. Cool to see the world if you're a Star
Yes.
Wars video game fan. I understand what you mean. I think live action. I am very much an animation person, but there's just this thing about live action that trumps animation when done correctly. Um, like the Mandalorian. Like I would choose a Mandalorian over the Bad Batch.
Yeah,
I know Colin likes to say it's not a quote he made, but every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Um, it's just this thing that like you because there's one thing experiencing Star Wars through animation, but then there's another thing where it's so lifelike. You're like, I could be there, like I could be in that,
right.
and that's what it is. But this one was a great episode. I have some comments from Bon, and of course, as always, I can rub in the fact that I was right about more things. I think everyone saw it coming, but I've been calling it for a while, so we'll talk about that. But there is news, not a lot of news.
I do want to talk about that when we get to that, though. Yes.
Oh, ooh. We do have some news. Disney Plus released its first look at Monsters at Work, the series that's going to be about Monsters Inc. We find out that Mike and Sully are going to be in charge, what it looks like, of Monsters Incorporated, or some big department at least. It was originally slated for July 2nd, but it was pushed back until July 7th, and it will be Wednesday releases. I kind of like this idea of Wednesday releases. It kind of helps get me through the end of the week. Like it
Yeah.
helps like push me over. Like I need that taste, something that will get me to Friday. We have Loki, and really last week went great. Having Loki in the middle of the week, it like got you ready, and then Friday you had Bad Batch going into the weekend. It was great.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. Like this is literally the most fun because like I was so sad Friday because I was like, ah, damn, like Loki happened Wednesday. It was awesome, but we're not getting anything now. But then I was like, oh my god, I got a Bad Batch, and it was an awesome episode too. So it's nice. I'm interested to see if they're going. I mean, we obviously had the Friday releases. Now we're introducing with Loki the Wednesday release. So Loki Wednesdays, now Monster at Work Wednesdays. Will we get other days in the future where like could every day in the week you get something? Whether it's like I don't think you're gonna get like something on the level of Loki and Mandalorian every day of the week, but could you get it where it's like you got little things here and there, maybe a High School Musical one day and animated the next day, leading up to your big show on Friday, whether that's a Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett or Miss Marvel or whatever it may be. You know what I mean?
Here's my question. This is just a general question. I want to see if you would ever agree if you would want this. There's something with live TV that adds a lot to television. We know the Netflix model is release everything at once and binge it. Disney Plus is changing the game by saying week to week. Would you ever be
Yes.
interested in their headliner shows
Yes.
being like I know
Yes.
you already know where I'm going. Like that prime Tuesday night 8 p.m. release where like the Mandalorian gets released on Tuesday at 8 p.m. with commercials. Like they have like, but it's
Oh
like
no no no
specific.
no no no
Oh no, you don't want
no, not
commercials?
the commercials.
Oh oh.
I want the 3 a.m. drop, but I want it at 9 o'clock at night. I think that way you're giving the West Coast people, you're giving them 6 o'clock. We're getting 9 o'clock here in the East
I
Coast.
want 8/7 Central. I want that 8/7 Central like when we were
That's
kids.
doing it dirty though for the West Coast people.
I'm saying just like when we were kids. We are the East Coast kids. We are the lucky ones. Not when it comes to Disney Plus though.
But yes, I 100%. I mean, the West Coast, they're so lucky. They get midnight. Like I could stay up, watch an episode, and then go to bed at one
I
in the
could
morning. Like,
too.
I'm fine doing that. Waking up in the middle of the night, I do it. I love it, but man, it's tough the next morning. But I do it because I love it, and I just want to do it because that's the other thing. I'd rather stay up late than have to get up like at 7 in the morning for an episode.
I stay up till 1 a.m. anyway. It
That's what
doesn't
I'm saying.
matter.
Like just
I'm
do it
watching
at 12.
Seinfeld. I'm watching Seinfeld. You switch it in for the Mandalorian. Let's do it.
Yeah, but yes, I would love a prime time. The other show's fine. You could do your 3 a.m. in the morning kind of thing, but I like your prime time Friday show. Make that appointment viewing kind of thing. That'd be sick. I mean, obviously you have to like. I think the big thing you have to be cognizant of, right, is probably sports. At that point, I feel like HBO has the market on like big time Sunday shows. So if Disney Plus could be the big time Friday night or like even a Thursday night show, that'd be awesome. I think.
Well, yeah, that's the rule. Don't mess with sports. And here we'll be talking about not messing with Sid as we jump into episode 7 of the Bad Batch. I tried to do a smooth transition. I don't know how well it worked, but
It's fine, buddy.
it's fine. We can do a whole episode on what do we want from Disney Plus. Who knows if they'd listen? But we talked about general thoughts. But we start with a very unique heist where they're after a lizard. We don't see how it happened. We only see the end of the mission where the Batch has secured a lizard, which Omega has named Ruby, and they're trying to escape their pursuers. It escapes in the Havoc Marauder as they're being chased. Jumps on Wrecker. He freaks out, bangs his head again, and then finally Echo is able to plug in the coordinates and shoots them into hyperspace. This was like an interesting cold open, kind of. It was like a new take on like a cold open.
Especially in Star Wars, how many times have we seen a setup where we're getting like the end of a mission, like the aftermath of it? It's always like you set up, this is what the mission is going to be. You see the mission, done, kind of thing.
Well, that happens in the Mandalorian.
What do you mean?
And when it's one of the first times when he takes Grogu, it opens in space where he's under attack, and then he's able to kill that pilot.
Right, but I'm talking about like a main mission. Like we didn't really,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like an actual, like that was just like he was probably flying around and got caught, kind of thing, which was fine.
Right.
But this is like legitimately like there's no battle, nothing. They're going to eat some popcorn, basically.
I want to talk about that in a
We'll
little
talk
bit,
about it.
but
No, but I like this because it's very much. I don't know how much more, given what we know about Wrecker and what happens in this episode. We'll talk about it, I'm sure. I don't. If we saw another episode where it's like, okay, Wrecker hits his head again, and the big thing doesn't happen yet, that would have annoyed me if we had to like go through and see this Ruby mission kind of a thing. I like that. Okay, this is what happened. There's been a little bit of a time jump since the last episode where they've gone on another mission for Sid. Now we're in this action that's happening here. I really enjoyed the opening for this and how they did it.
that's a great way to put it. Because it's a great way to show that they're still doing work, that they're still that there was a time jump. It just shows all these good things to show where they are without saying it.
Yeah, and the time jump could have literally been 2 days. Who knows?
It could have been,
but it's like you signify. Okay, there's been some significant time from their last mission to now.
yes, absolutely. And then it even goes any deeper, and I need to pull this up. So because I have a message from Professor Bond from the other day, because I want to backtrack on one of my statements because this episode changed it, but I'll get to it. So we enter back as Sid is looking at this strange lizard creature. I don't think they ever actually gave it like an actual name, like to what the species is. And then they were like, what are they gonna do with it? She goes, I don't know, maybe it's a pet, maybe it's a stew. Knowing that it's Rhea Perlman is even more weird to me now. Like knowing, like having the face to the actor, which is just funny to me because like you know her from so many other things, and you're like, why is she a Trandoshan crime person in Star Wars? It doesn't. It's so random, but the voice is great for it.
Yeah.
And as the batch is in the cantina, they notice this suspicious hooded cloak member as well as the regulars. And then Sid goes to pay them and gives them only one third of what was promised. Because she tells them that she's not running a charity because they have a lot of bills. They're in debt to her. There's docking fees, port charges, gear, fuel, rations, and 20 cartons of Mantel mix. We'll talk about the Mantel mix in just a second. But this is where I have been giving Sid the benefit of the doubt for the past since we met her, and I got the message. This is like right after the episode came out, where Professor Bond said, "I've been spot on with most of my predictions, but I think he thinks I'm dead wrong with Sid because she's going to double cross them the minute they are no longer useful to her." I now agree with that because I was like, "Oh, this is really nice. Like she's helping them out, she's doing all this thing," and then it's like, "No, she's not. She's doing the thing where you keep getting more and more indebted to them, so you're stuck working for her forever." Yeah, so I'm off the horse of, oh, she's good. I am
Yeah.
now. I'm not going to say she's bad, but she's more not trustworthy than trustworthy.
It's definitely a tough situation because it's a situation where like I would love to love Sid. I think Sid is a very like interesting, funny character. She reminds me of the cantina worker from Star Wars Resistance. I can't think of her name, which I know you haven't watched. Um, how in her demeanor, but like the other one was like on the Resistance good side kind of thing. Like Sid easily could flip in a moment's notice because Sid reminds me of DJ from Last Jedi. Like Sid is out for Sid, and that's it, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and I mean in that profession it makes sense,
I, I
but
I
and
don't not respect it. Like that's her
yeah,
code. She's gonna like it is
it
what it
is.
is, kind of a thing.
It is, and there still is something that there was something that the Jedi trusted about her, but now they're gone. Now she has to watch.
Right.
She was given protection through the Jedi. There was a very big benefit to being not a spy, but a contact for the Jedi. That
Sure.
no longer that safety blanket is no longer there.
Yeah.
But even something more important is the Mantel mix, because after she says that, they cut to Wrecker and Omega out doing their routine after a mission where they are ordering Mantel mix and then putting it on Sid's charge. Mantel mix is this very good looking popcorn type food. And Cam, what is your over under on this being at Disney? Like how many?
Oh, they've had it.
Oh, they have had it.
It's
Oh,
not called
okay.
Mantel Mix. It's called Outpost Mix at Disney at Galaxy's Edge. The I have not had it because as I've said multiple times, I was supposed to go to Galaxy's Edge last year. Then a global pandemic happened, so that shot down.
That changes stuff.
Me going to Disney World, so I'm not going until September. But they have like it tastes like some pieces taste spicy. Like I've seen people like say it tastes like Big Red. I've like the gum, not the High School Musical, the musical actor or character. I've seen
That'd be
some
some.
people says it tastes like grape, like some other pieces. Some people compare it to like a fruity pebble kind of a thing. So they sell it, but it's called Outpost Mix, and you can actually get it in an MSE droid, a mouse droid, which I will 100% buy that. It's like $20, and it comes with the mouse droid and the popcorn. So I will 100% be getting
So I
that.
googled it. I didn't
Yes.
realize that it's actually a thing, or maybe there's different versions of it. Maybe there'll be a more sweet version
Yeah.
for this. So it's popcorn, coconut oil, grape purple glaze pop,
Yeah.
and then 3 tablespoons of red hot cinnamon glaze pop. And then
Yes.
if you want to make it even more, add chili powder and salt.
I'm very excited to try
Sounds
it.
pretty good, actually. That
I
sounds
will.
like a very good like good and unique thing. I don't know if it'd be worth a snack credit, but it sounds pretty good.
Well, here's the thing: as I gotta say, listen, they ate this in the Bad Batch that was on Disney Plus. I need to go get this to do a review for
That's
the
true.
podcast. So I promise you all, September you will get a review of Outpost Mix, aka Mantel Mix. But I do like it because it's another thing like the park Batu is like influencing in like the canon without it being like in your face. Like this is a little thing, but if you're a park goer and know about the food at the parks, you can be like, oh, that's cool. Like they have that on Batu without it just shoving down like Batu down your face, if that makes sense.
That was the first thing I thought. I'm sitting there. I'm like, this looks so good. When is this going to be in Galaxy's Edge? Now, to my knowledge, it is in Galaxy's Edge. So
Yeah, it's been there since day
that's
one. Yeah,
funny.
yeah,
So as we continue, Sid says that they're like, oh, like Echo and Hunter are like, what are you talking about? Like, this doesn't make sense. And she goes, well, you guys need a big score to break even with me. Like retrieving the droid head, which you botched. So it sounds more like she's only putting him in this situation because they've messed up. Because the thing they were supposed to do with the droid head was supposed to be that big score that was going to make them a ton of money,
Right.
but stuff happens.
Rafa and Trace happen.
God damn. That's a famous Star Wars, famous Dave Filoni last words. Um, and then as this happens, as they're really getting heated, and I'm gonna say, like, I know you have had your issues with Echo. I think he keeps getting better. Echo really seems to have the most like oomph on the team. Like he's
Echo's getting
very
better.
like Echo was like the first person to really stand up to Sid, which was interesting to me because he does have that like Skywalker like.
I was surprised that wasn't Hunter because it's been
Because it
very
was
Hunter
both. It
focused.
was both.
But it was a good chunk of Echo, and I was like, oh, okay, Echo's back. Echo's back on my good graces. Not that he ever left, but like I can like breathe a sign of relief and like,
You can
okay,
stop
this is the
feeling
Echo I
sorry
know.
for him. You can stop
Yeah,
feeling sorry for him.
yeah. I was like, this is the Echo I know. Like we're fine. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
fine now.
So, blaster fire happens that cuts this money talk short, and they all run out as the Hammerhead and the Weequay are running out of the bar scared. As this hooded figure removes his hood, and it is none other than Captain Rex. And
Thank God.
thank God, we've been waiting week to week. We knew he was going to be in it. And I loved the way they made him look, like his dirty armor and everything. They really worked on his blonde buzz cut.
For sure.
Because Courtney watched it and she goes, "Why does it look like Rex is blonde?" I'm like, "Cause he is.
Yeah.
Cause he is blonde." People just forget that that was like the little like, oh, that's how he separates himself.
It was just really good to have our like. It felt like this is gonna sound so cliche because it's obviously how it felt for the Bad Batch, but like it felt good to have an old friend back. And as much as the Bad Batch can stand on their own, it is nice to have these little cameos and guest appearances like Rex coming in to help the Bad Batch out in this episode, and then he goes away and it's fine. Like the Bad Batch can have their own solo episode again next episode, but we like got our fix of Captain Rex. And it wasn't so much that like thank God I needed Captain Rex. I'm like thank God it fit in the story well. Like it wasn't just forcing like okay we're gonna get Captain Rex in here to get Captain Rex in here. It made complete sense, and I know we'll talk about it in a little bit why he's in this episode and what his mission was or what his end goal was or his arc in this episode. So it made it really special. But it's always good to have DBB portraying Rex among with like 20 other characters, basically.
Yeah, I hope he gets paid per character and not per hour.
Yeah, you should absolutely.
And he said that he found them because Trace and Rafa, that is who they contacted, which was interesting because it looked like they changed what he was wearing from the hologram to that, which was interesting. And so they start talking, and then Omega walks in, sees Rex, and instantly can deduce that he is a Generation 1 clone trooper.
That was really funny because it was literally like Omega in the nicest way being like, oh, you look old. Like, you've got wrinkles, basically. Like, that's how I could tell you're a Gen 1.
And he said, "Oh, I've been around the block," and it adds a lot to the character. So if people want to know Star Wars with the clones, a Generation 1 clone trooper is a direct Jango Fett to clone creation. Means you are the Generation 1 is the closest they can get to Jango Fett. Rex is one. We can go under the assumption Cody is one because Cody was even higher. Gree, Bakara, and several others that we're probably Wolf. Anyone that was a major commander because they're the most. They're the most they're the most Jango Fett like clones because they're actually from an alive Jango Fett. Every generation after Gen 1 is off of DNA. So of that clone. So we can actually take the guess that Jango Fett himself trained Rex.
Probably.
Was, which is really cool to think. And it adds a lot more because Rex does act a lot like Jango Fett. Like trooper-wise. Not rebellious-wise.
Yeah, that was not.
And as this is happening, Rex is put on edge because Wrecker keeps grabbing his head and complaining, and he's ready to shoot, saying that they need to get these chips removed now. What were it changed in an instant because Rex was ready to unalive the whole batch by himself.
Yes. I felt very thankful because I said this before, I don't think I could have done another episode where Wrecker hits his head, alluding to what's gonna happen, and then just like it not happen. Like we needed to get this taken care of. Either he had to like go rogue and like have the inhibitor like act up, and he had to go the way across here, or we had to like solve this and fix it for him. So I was very thankful. Like we're not waiting till like episode 14 of 16 to do this. Like we're handling this right now. So that I appreciate because like I said, I think it would have been very redundant to do. Oh, he hit his head again. Next week, maybe that's the week he goes crazy. But no, we got it done this episode, and I thought that was great.
Uh-oh, you slipped a little bit more, but didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think I could have done that again. I would have been like that. I would have been like, Dave, what are we doing? But I think this was like the perfect amount where it's like I- I'm not I'm not going to be annoyed again if it happens one more week. Like right now, we fix this, so it's great.
Exactly. And this is where Rex says, "I'm going to help you wait for my rendezvous point." And one of the coolest crossovers. So, Jedi Fallen Order. Have you finished the game, or have you even
I've
started
not.
it, or no?
I've started it.
Okay,
It's
good.
not finished. But I know the
Um,
planet.
so they start the video game starts on the planet Braca, which is controlled by the Scrapper Guild, and pretty much they just decommission ships. And for the
Yeah.
Republic, now the Empire, really cool to see it. And then while they're going in for their landing, they're talking about the chips, like, oh, we need to all remove them. And Omega's like, not me. I don't have a chip, which is really
Right.
interesting because this now plants, and you can comment on this. This plants an even deeper thing where who is Omega for? Who was Omega
Yeah.
created for? Because if she was meant for the Republic / the Empire, which I don't think that we already know the Kaminoans were not planning on an empire. They were planning in Legends. There's actually like there's an Order 65, which is for the clones to remove Chancellor Palpatine. We don't know if that those commands actually exist. There are a lot of commands from Legends that were pretty messed up. The Jedi one was just one of the many contingency plans.
Right.
Um, but Omega does not have said chip.
I think that was probably the most like, oh my god, moment of the episode. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
it's like, oh wait, like we knew she's different, but like you're really different. Where you don't even have that inhibitor chip. Like that's okay. That's good information to have because we didn't know that before this, right? That was like the first time we found out that she didn't have it.
It was. And just speak up a little. Your mic dipped a little.
Oh, did it? My bad. No, but basically, does it sound better now?
There we go.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. It was nice to know, like, okay, like Omega doesn't have an inhibitor chip, and like, why is that? And I'm sure we're gonna get the answer for that now, especially now that we're done with this whole like, Wrecker potentially will he, won't he go nuts? Will the Order 66 finally be affected with him and the inhibitor chip? We're done with that, so now I think the rest part of the season is like we're gonna learn. Okay, what the heck's up with Omega? Like, who is she? Why is she? Who exactly what you said? Who was she created and developed for? All those answers I think will come in the second half of the season, which I'm excited for because that's the big mystery. And all since the first trailer, who the heck is Omega? Why is she here? How is she a clone? Um, she's obviously not a Jango Fett clone, so what's going on with her? So I'm excited.
I thought she is a Jango Fett clone.
Is that official? Well,
I
she's got to be altered in some way, so we'll see how that works.
well, because now my question is, she knows she's a Gen 1. The only other Gen 1s that are canon are Rex and Boba Fett.
Right.
We can go off the assumption that Cody was, because Cody and Rex worked
Maybe we'll,
together
yeah.
through the whole time. Is Omega another Gen 1 that was sliced to be a female and taken as a separate project? What if she's the same age as Boba Fett? Because that would roughly work age wise. Age wise, she
She doesn't
roughly
have like
would.
the aging. She wouldn't have the age,
She just
the
doesn't
aging.
have the aging like Boba
That'd be
Fett,
interesting.
and she's just the female version of Jango Fett from Gen 1.
That'd be interesting. I think that's the big thing you need to know is like, does she have the de aging factor into it? Because
Right.
that's definitely the big part of it, I guess. Because I mean, at this point, it doesn't seem like they're creating any more clones anyway, so there wouldn't be any younger clones. So maybe she is a Gen 1 as well, just without that de aging. That's an interesting thought. Definitely something I haven't thought of before, but we'll get an answer. I think we have to get an answer this season.
Oh, we're gonna find out who she is or what she is. I think is a better way to say. Because I think we can go under the assumption, because I think a lot of people move towards that she is just the fifth altered clone of, or Yeah, the fifth altered clone of Jango Fett.
Well, it's just crazy because this is the second time in the last like 6 years. Is she a Kenobi? Is she a Palpatine? Is she a Skywalker? I'm just kidding. That was a Ray thing, but that's fine.
Is she a
Everything's fine.
nobody?
Is she a nobody?
Uh,
Maybe she is a nobody. Is she a Fett? Who knows?
well, I think they're all. I think they're all
They're
Fets.
all yeah.
So that would be interesting as well because that could open up so many other doors. And I think it would
But there
also
could
add.
be others too.
There
Sorry to
could
interrupt. There could be
technically
others,
be
which is
others,
nuts.
but she has the she ha- actually no, she definitely is a Jango Fett clone because I saw the interview with the actress, the voice actress that said they had her do her Kiwi accent, her New Zealand accent to honor Tamora Morrison.
Gotcha.
Then
No,
then my thing is she's also blonde like Rex.
that's
That's
true.
like that's now my thing. That's like the little light bulb clicks, and I'm like, oh wait, maybe it is that. Maybe it is partially a Gen One thing.
Well,
Where
listen to this. Just a thought. We get a young Avengers, but young Jango Fett clones who aren't DH. So we got Boba, Omega, and a bunch of other ones forming a super team. That'd be sick.
well,
I know
because
that
that would be something interesting to add to Fennec's arc also.
potentially, yeah.
Where if we do see Fennec again, I think we will. It would be very funny if she had a thing with like she was connected to all these unaltered clones. Well,
Well,
technically
what if
Omega
they
is
tried?
altered.
What if they tried making like a Fennec clone eventually one day? This is going way off the deep end of this, but like maybe that's why she has that connection with Boba Fett eventually too, is because even though she's not a clone, maybe she I don't know. Just I'm spitballing here, but
We'll see what ends up happening. I personally think we're moving towards the arc from the original Battlefront 2, where we're going to see the Camino uprising, where it's going to be clone on clone violence, and that ends the Kaminoans, where they end up losing and
right.
get destroyed. So they land next to this very cool dark Y-wing. I loved the color change Rex added to
Sick.
his own.
Very cool.
And with Rex, they head off towards the Jedi cruiser, the same type Rex got his chip removed on also. They're complaining, well, why do we have to walk so far? And then get down quick. As the Scrapper Guild is moving around, they said, that's why we can't be spotted by them, because this is their planet and we can't mess with them.
Really quick, Scrapper Guild looks sick in this show.
They do.
They look really, really cool.
They do. Yeah, it added a little bit more to Braca as well.
Yes.
So they enter onto the Venator, and this is the only big complaint I have on the episode. Rex starts telling Echo that Fives tried to warn him about the chips, and that at the time he didn't really understand. And Echo's like, it's still hard to understand, but I'm like, what about Fives? What about Fives? Sure, the chips or something, but talk about the man that literally is like yes, all the clones are brothers, but this man was your brother. This man was like your like inseparable person.
I
Like,
think
why aren't you talking about it?
it started to get like a little emotional, but then it just didn't, and I was like, I was like waiting to start. Like, I'm like, gonna start crying about when they're talking about Fives, and then they just didn't really. So it was interesting.
And I mean, I kind of get it, because Echo has gone through so much
Sure.
like trauma that
Yeah.
like he's probably extremely desensitized, and but also it's that thing where like to Rex, like
Right.
yes, we know Rex and Cody. That's a very close relationship, but they don't work together every battle.
Right.
Where Rex and Fives were close, but to like it, we see it in the original Bad Batch or in Clone Wars, where the biggest like regret to Rex was Echo dying,
Right.
because that was his like that's what sounded like if Rex died on the battlefield, Echo would have become the next captain of the 501st. That's what they made it sound like. So like this was like Rex's like closest. This was Echo and Rex were also like Echo and Fives, where they were that close.
Right. Right. Especially where they're like the whole brothers are. Yeah, it's definitely tough.
Exactly, it is tough, and I honestly think if the last season of Clone Wars came out before Rebels, instead of Gregor, we probably would have saw Echo in said
You think
place
so?
in Rebels. I think
Yeah,
so.
that's not a bad thought.
That would have made sense at the time, because it would have
Yeah,
made
the
sense
time
if
when it came
Echo
out,
if
yeah.
Echo was a little bit more cuckoo down the line.
Sure.
That same arc would have made sense. So, um, that upset me that they didn't talk more about Fives. But then they find out that it's a partially submerged cruiser, and they have to cross a little beam very high up. Everyone makes it across. Omega's very talented. I'll give her credit.
Yeah.
We always give her credit. She's incredible. And then Wrecker starts to go across, and the line snaps, and he's stuck at the bottom, and then we see a tentacle monster. It's called a Dianoga. Luke Skywalker deals with it multiple times. Um, and what a scene! What was going through your
Really cool.
head with this? Because it was quite a scene.
This is where I thought Wrecker was gonna snap. I thought he was gonna
Oh,
like Order 66. Like I was waiting for Order 66 to kick in and the inhibitor chip to kick in, and then he was gonna use like that that frustration, that like control substance, basically, to then just beat the heck out of this creature and then go attack his friends. I'm glad it didn't, but it was like really tense. Like it was funny to see them all make it across. It was a little fun. As a big guy, I can speak to this. It was funny seeing the big guy had the one had the trouble with the rope, but seeing him come away with it and being successful to be saved basically was really interesting. But very tense. The music here. I'm gonna talk about music in a little bit too when that big scene happens later. But the music here was really good as well. I thought it added a lot to the story.
yeah, for sure. And also the heights thing where he hates heights.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it's interesting to see Omega's relationship with Wrecker because it almost seems more than the rest, and it's almost like we know Hunter's the dad, and then the assumption would be that the other all of them are like the uncle. Everyone else is the uncle, but it's more like Wrecker is the big brother. When
Yeah.
it's a very like
He's the Uncle Joey of the group.
yes, but it's almost more like brother sister than like. Well, he also could be the fun uncle. Yeah, that's true.
Well, what I like
Um,
about this, I think we said it after the first like 2 or 3 episodes. We're like, oh, a lot of this is like there's the Bad Batch, but then there's Hunter and Omega, and now we're getting moments with each of them. Where the last little bit, like it's been the Omega and Wrecker relationship. We've seen the Omega and Echo with Tech a little bit before too. We even see it with Crosshair for like a small little part too. So like everything is we're getting those moments. So really, Omega's the star of the show, and it's the Bad Batch supporting her, in my opinion. But it's nice that we're not just focusing Hunter and Omega. We're getting these moments with
yes,
Wrecker right now, especially with everything that happens in this episode to lead up to it. Just that intensity and pace of this episode is really interesting.
I'm also going to say that you made me realize. So I also want to comment on Echo that goes underutilized because Echo is becoming Omega's trainer.
Yeah,
He's the one training her to do everything, and she's improving very quickly.
for sure.
In the episode with the Zygerian slavers, when Echo and Omega are leading the captives to the speeder bikes, and they get ambushed. Echo with just the pistol shoots both of them in the heart, like
Awesome.
split second. I'm like, oh my god, I forgot about this because I realized it because I rewatched the last 3 episodes the other day, and then in this episode he was like dead eye against the Dianaga. He was like boom, 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 and
Yeah.
that's when I let it go.
I mean, Echo's
His
always been like
aim,
that.
I know his aim though. I'm just shocked how like it's just crazy to see the aim because he could easily have they could easily give him the sniper rifle and he could easily be the new crosshair for them until
For
something
sure.
other happens to crosshair.
Echo's always been like that though. When his back's against the wall, like Echo got this. Like it's always been like that. I mean, it's been the same way obviously with Rex too, but like I feel like Echo's always been that guy where he's gonna put that blaster and put a bolt or a laser beam, whatever I don't know what you call it, like right where it needs to go.
Yeah, for sure. So after this crazy moment though with Wrecker, they end up in the med bay. Tech has a funny moment where he says, "I don't believe it's sanitary." The Camino one was a little off to me. I feel like that was a weird comment.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just clone humor. And Echo's like, "I'm gonna reboot it and get it set up." And this is to me this probably the second most emotional part of the episode where Omega is like, "We don't have to do this. It's too dangerous." Because it's worse if it's better to not risk this stuff. And Rex is like, no, it's better to take these out. And Omega says that, well, if anything happens, I'm alone again. Like
I'm gonna start crying again.
oh my god, is it Misty in here? And Hunter says, listen, it nothing's gonna happen. You're stuck with us no matter what, for better or worse, which I thought was really nice. Because like obviously like us thinking like you could just go with Rex because
Right,
we're all sitting here like we love Captain Rex, but we've known him for 15 years, where she just met this clone and is like,
right,
but this is my family, not him.
right.
Um, and it was just a very nice scene.
for sure. And it's the Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars has always been and will always be about family, and it's not about always blood family. It's the family you choose, the family you grow with, kind of thing. And having Omega, who's still a child, like being so scared, like I'm gonna lose my dad and my fun uncles, kind of thing. It was just heartbreaking because she's so scared. But like, thank goodness we have like Rex as the voice of reason. Like, okay, yeah, maybe that might happen, but it might be so much worse if like we're not even have a fighting chance to stop them from having their inhibitor chips go on. I think or go off. Excuse me. I think it would have been interesting if like they did the surgery and like Wrecker ended up being fine, but then wanted like tech maybe if something went wrong with that, that would have been an interesting take. But I'm really glad. I know we'll talk about it. Everything becomes successful in the end. But let's get to the holy cow moment of this episode.
I will just say, I think it could only have been Wrecker. Wrecker is the
Sure.
only tech. Yeah, sure.
No. If it was Hunter, that'd be nuts.
Hunter would be tough as well.
Hunter would be heartbreaking.
Wrecker is the easiest one that you can put 7, like 10 on one, and he's gonna
'Cause he's that big
potentially, and
brutish,
he's
yeah.
probably gonna win.
That's true.
So Wrecker starts to panic. He's like, "Oh no, my head feels fine." It definitely is not feeling fine. And then we get a Beetlejuice moment where I was like, "Don't stop!" I'm like, "Stop saying it." Where Rex is like, "Very few clones are immune to Order 66," and then Echo said Order 66 again, and they start to move away. And Tech is about to give Wrecker an injection when he grabs his hand, and with like the evilest look you can probably have seen from Wrecker ever, he goes, "You are in direct violation of Order 66," and starts to choke
Unbelievable.
Tech
Unbelievable.
as his chip turns on. Oh my god.
And this is where I said, I know I'm sounding like a broken record again, but like, thank goodness we got this now and not have to wait another episode because I don't think I could have done it again. But man, it was worth the wait for this to happen. All the head injuries that Wrecker was getting these last couple
Poor
weeks,
guy.
it made this moment worth it. Where it's like, oh my god, here it's happening, and it happens in such a slow but quick build up as well. Where all of a sudden it's boom, that thing turns on.
Oh, it did.
It was awesome.
And it turns on, and this fight scene is crazy. He throws Tech against the wall, and then he picks up. I really like the way this is something Star Wars does very well in animation, where to portray someone without emotion, you give them their helmet, and it's the same way that you're allowed to like kill stormtroopers in animation for a PG show because
Right.
there's something that you associate with. You feel something. You feel a connection with eyes and all this.
Yeah.
Putting the helmet on takes that away. And he starts to shoot at everyone. Hunter grabs Omega, saves her. And they're like, we need to get him out of the med bay or he's going to destroy all the equipment. So they run him out. And this nice battle scene goes on where they try to stun him. It doesn't work. And he even gets the upper hand on Hunter.
Yeah.
Where he starts to strangle Hunter and is luckily saved by Omega.
And what's nice about this is Star Wars does such a good job with like plussing everything with like music because the music when that beat drops when Wrecker I don't think it's when he grabs Tech, I think it's when he puts on the helmet. There's like a nice beat drop. I'd have to go back and watch it again. It adds to the intensity of this moment besides just the fact that like okay, Wrecker just tried choking out Tech and he's saying like, the good soldier follows order and he's heard the Order 66 kind of thing and is like saying like you're in violation of this Order 66. When that beat drops, it adds so much more intensity to Omega trying to run away, to Wrecker just dominating even Hunter and things like that. It's so good, and Star Wars does such an amazing job with it. They have since 1977, and I'm glad that that transition from like the live action feature films to the animation department because it's happened always from Clone Wars to Rebels. So it's great to see that continuing in the Bad Batch because this moment specifically was great. It was an A. It became an A plus when you add that music to add that intensity into everything.
Yeah, for sure. And then we get in like it adds even more music. Obviously, we know makes a scary movie scary. You know when, especially when like there's no music at all, it becomes even more eerie.
Yeah,
And then we get this really intense game of cat and mouse between Omega and Wrecker. As she's hiding, she keeps escaping him, and it's like the dark corridor. What did it remind you of? Like, what other movie did this scene where he's trying to find her remind you of?
oh,
I can
boy,
think
you
of
put me on the
two.
spot.
I can
I
think
don't
of two right
put
off
me
the
on the
top of my
spot. I
head.
don't know.
My first thought, my first go, and I might just be overthinking it because of Bryce Dallas Howard and The Mandalorian. I really got a feel of the kids running away from the Velociraptors in the
In
first Jurassic
Jurassic.
Park,
Yeah, that's a good one.
when they fake him out too, and all
Yeah,
this.
in the
The
kitchen. Yeah, yeah.
and the other one was very The Shining to me, just
I've
like
never seen The Shining,
oh,
but the
okay,
Jurassic Park, I get that
yeah,
reference
and then The Shining, obviously, just the horror scene of that,
for sure. Yeah,
and he, unlike the Velociraptors, Wrecker catches Omega and is ready to shoot her, but there's a hesitation, as Omega does. But Wrecker, you're my friend.
that was pretty good.
Thank you.
Look, that was really good. Wow, that's really good.
And right before Wrecker can pull the trigger, Rex comes in and shoots, stuns. There's a very big difference. Stuns.
Huge difference. Worlds
Huge
difference.
difference. I mean, Wrecker can take a shot.
Dead difference.
I mean, Wrecker takes some serious shots. Stuns Wrecker as he falls to the ground, and Rex is grabbing his head. I don't know if you saw that, and I saw that very much as a comparison to when he got his chip out, like rubbing his head. He was rubbing the other side. Just interesting to me. It was like weird symbolism to me the way he was rubbing his head. I might be overthinking it.
That.
I saw someone else pick up on it, and then I'm like, okay, it kind of validated my feelings.
Yeah, I don't think I picked up on that, so that's an interesting, I guess, observation.
So then we go back into the med bay as Wrecker goes in and comes out of the surgery, and she goes, "Why?" Omega goes, "Why isn't he awake?" Like, and it's like he's alive, but his vitals aren't stable, and they're like, "Oh, just take her outside, get some fresh air while this happens," because I think they were probably thinking, "Oh, he's probably gonna die," because of the traumaticness.
Right.
But Omega's like, "I'm not." Pulls up a chair and sits right there.
So sweet.
So sweet. And obviously it portrays time passed because they are all like passed out sleeping when Wrecker wakes up and rubs her head. And
So
very touching moment. And with this, all the rest of the batch get theirs out. And as they're getting all their stuff ready to leave, Wrecker, feeling guilty, goes up to Omega, and you can tell just how hurt he is. And this is the first time we get real insight to how this chip works. And this makes it even more heartbreaking for every single clone. Where Wrecker's like, I knew it was on. I could feel myself. I was myself in my head, but I could not fight it. I could not beat this chip. And that means all these clones are sitting there carrying out these orders against their Jedi, trying to stop it, but not being able to.
Doesn't that add so much more story to the prequels when you think about Revenge of the Sith, where I just can't get enough of that, where like those clones, like as much as they love their brothers, they love the Jedi that they worked with. Like I can't imagine how painful it must have been for like Cody to try to go up against Obi-Wan or something like
and that adds to the theory that Cody and I forget, are they the 442nd? I always forget the name of the orange troopers. That they missed the shot on purpose.
That it was like
it was a moment of hesitation to miss it, but then the chip still overtakes it. I'm still hoping we see Cody. I think we are. Oh, we still haven't seen the Coruscant stuff yet.
No,
actually. So yeah, we're Cody might end up being a second half villain.
But you think too the same thing. Like, I wonder how Crosshair is going to be, because Crosshair's always been clothed in the loop. So I'm like, if I'm assuming he'll get his inhibitor chip like taken care of, like I don't think he'll be as apologetic as Wrecker was, but maybe.
But that's the other thing. We know that like in the first episode, because the best relationship with Crosshair was Hunter. Hunter and Crosshair got each other, which we have been shown. And Hunter's like, "What's wrong with you?" And Crosshair's like, "I'm following orders." And Hunter's like, "That's the point," because he's like, "You might be a hard ass, but you're still ours.
Yeah, you're still
and you're
ours,
not being it."
family.
Where even though Crosshair was a pain, he was still part of the family.
Yeah.
And when something was wrong, they knew something was wrong. That's just something else to add. And we'll see what happens. But then another sweet moment where Omega takes out some Mantel mix to the mission's over. They need to share the mission, and they gobble down this Mantel mix.
I thought beginning to end, this was a perfect episode. This was a perfect episode of Star Wars animation where you have the nice moment at the beginning. The crisis in this was huge. The stakes were so high, and you end it with a nice little bow, like this nice little moment that obviously Star Wars, it's poetry that mimics the first part. Omega very easily shooting up to my number one favorite character ever in Star Wars because she has a
Oh,
snack pocket. That's a joke, but I love that she has a snack pocket because that's a big thing for me. That having a little some treats kind of thing.
she needs a few more. She needs a few more seasons, but I think she has a potential that could become a great
Yeah, I don't think
character.
she's probably not even my top 10, but I just appreciate that she has a snack pocket. So that was more of a joke, but like I love that she's always ready to have this little like post game tradition with Wrecker when the mission goes right. So it was very nice, but it's just an awesome episode. Very great. Like I said, I think it's a perfect Star Wars animated episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows? Maybe Omega will show up in Book of Boba Fett. That'd
I
be pretty cool.
That'd be sick.
Doubt it, but I would say she gets her own show, her own live action show before that. So we end on different paths as Rex can't stay forever. Where Rex says that he's not fully out of the game yet, as Hunter sees him talking and setting up coordinates to meet. And Rex says we could really use you, what we're building, and he goes, I need to do what's best for my team, but I don't know what that is yet. And of course, Rex says, "Well, we'll stay in touch." I like the under. It's a very underrated relationship between Hunter and Rex.
Right.
And then the craziest part is it ends with the Scrapper Guild noticing Hunter and telling his men to alert the Empire.
Just unbelievable.
It's about to hit the fan.
And I like that it ended happily, but didn't end completely happily because I know we're gonna talk about that.
It ended like Empire Strikes Back. There's
it
hope.
ended happily for our main characters, but what they don't know won't bring them down now. But like, here's the second half of the season.
It and exactly second. It's we're going into our Return of the Jedi now, where people probably know my favorite Star Wars movie is Empire Strikes Back, and it ends exactly like that, where there is hope, but there's also the looming threat ahead of them.
I still think this is still partly, honestly, this still is like Empire still. Like I think it's gonna get worse before it gets better. Still,
I mean, Return of the Jedi gets worse before we
that's
end
true.
happy.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
we'll see. But like you already said, perfect episode. Where are you hoping to go from here? Like, what do you think we're gonna get Cody next? Do you think we're gonna finally get our first reemergence of Crosshair? It's been a long time since we've seen
I do
Crosshair.
think we get Crosshair next. Now that the Empire has been alerted, I think Kamina will get alerted, and I think now we get here are Death Troopers officially by name with oh my god, with Crosshair leading them. That's where I think we're going next as the next part of like because this arc is finished. This whole it was an arc, but it wasn't at the same time. It was like the arc basically was like, hey, Wrecker keeps hitting his head, and we need to get the inhibitor chip out without being all in your face because we had the Fennec, we had the mission with that, but that we could call that an arc. So I think the next big thing is gonna be okay. Now we got Crosshair back, and I don't think we solved the Crosshair thing in the next couple episodes. I think the Crosshair thing will get completed throughout the rest of the whatever it is, 9 episodes, whatever. But that's where I think we're getting next. I think we definitely get a Crosshair appearance this Friday in the next episode.
I agree. I would prefer a whole episode away from the Bad Batch just following Crosshair,
Especially with how this ended.
and it ends with Crosshair finding the batch, and that we get left on a cliffhanger. That would be personally my best. Like that would be like a ooh, we're getting
I
real
like that.
here.
That would be a perfect like mid-season like finale where it's like, okay, this has all been happening here, but I don't care what anybody says. Like, even though he's not part of the Bad Batch right now, Crosshair is a Bad Batch member. Like, let's check in and see what he's going on. If we maybe don't get anything about our main Bad Batch team with Omega for this next episode, I think that would be very cool and very interesting to see how it does.
I agree. And what an episode.
Yeah, just good stuff. That's my final thing. Just good stuff.
Just good stuff. That's what we want. Just good stuff.
Good stuff.
And what I want right now is for you to tell us where you can find us on social media.
So you can find me at Twitter at CamRamos95. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Stream the Mouse, on Instagram and Facebook at Streaming with the Mouse. You can find us on our website, cprob.com/streaming with the mouse, and you can find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Please make sure you rate, review, subscribe. Really helps us get ears out on these podcasts, especially with us doing a lot of work on these Bad Batch episodes. We got more Loki content. Our last episode, I think, fit decently well from what we talked about. So definitely excited to talk more Loki, talk more Bad Batch with you all, and we want to interact with you all as well. So definitely send us those messages, send us all those stuff on the social medias. Cliff, where can they find you?
Absolutely, and you can find me at CPRobinson81, and there's also like a million other places you can find us. Whenever it tells me, it's like, oh, you can now submit your podcast here. I'm like, cool, do it.
Yeah,
But obviously, you're all listening somewhere. So that's all we got. So
we'll be back on Friday.
we'll see you on Friday for Loki episode 2. So have a magical day, everyone.
Have a good one, everyone. May the force be with you.